host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. It is Wednesday, June 25th, which only begs one question.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Hump day.
That is right. It is hump day. And not only is it a hump day, which means we give you as many hump day headlines as we possibly can, it is NBA draft day one. Now, in the NBA, there are 2 days of their draft and only 2 rounds in this draft. So, though you've been accustomed in other sports to a lengthy time with which the draft happens and the amount of players get picked, in the NBA, it's the exact opposite. So I got a full NBA draft breakdown for you today. Plus, there's some more trades happening in the association. A lot coming out of Boston. The bottom line is the Boston Celtics are preparing themselves for what it looks like 2 seasons from now, because Jason Tatum's season came to an end last year with an Achilles tear. And that means 25-26 is kind of out, because you're, as it was currently constructed prior to the offseason, not a good enough team led by just Jaylen Brown, and at the time, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Well, 2 of the last 3 I just mentioned have now since been traded from the Celtics. And Brad Stevens is doing a phenomenal job in the front office of retooling this Celtics team. And the reality of the situation is, when your superstar player tears his Achilles in the second round of the NBA playoffs, with that injury, you're almost guaranteed to not have that player back for the next season. Now, it's 2025, and dudes are making reckless comebacks from those type of injuries. So the timetable with which you and I both think an Achilles should take you to come back, and the timetable with which it might for Jason Tatum, could be 2 different things. But Brad Stevens, the front office for the Boston Celtics, and their entire franchise are realizing, okay, this is bad, but it's not the worst. Why? Because 2 years ago, you won the title. 2 years ago, the shape shifting of the roster centered around Tatum and Brown finally paid off with a championship. A year later, Tatum, the number 1 piece to that championship and that foundation, goes down with arguably the worst lower half injury you could possibly have. Arguably. Top 5, easy. Worst lower half injuries you could ever have in tearing your Achilles. Okay? Goes down with that injury, and you lose to the Knicks in the second round. It feels really bleak in that moment if you're a Boston Celtics fan, but it now gives the organization an entire year and a half to reset. And Brad Stevens has already started that process. First, with a great trade of Drew Holiday for Anthony Simmons between the Celtics and the Portland Trailblazers, plus getting some salary cap relief in that trade, plus some picks. And then yesterday, executing a trade of Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks It was a 3-team deal that included the Brooklyn Nets. Here is what each team came away with. The Boston Celtics got George Niang and a future second rounder. The Brooklyn Nets, Terrence Mann, the 25th pick of this draft, which is wild because the Nets have a lot of picks in the first round. And the Atlanta Hawks walked away with Kristaps Porzingis and a future second rounder. Now, all three franchises that I just mentioned right there have a completely different outlook. The Brooklyn Nets have 6 first-round picks this year. 6 in the first round alone. Okay? Currently, they have the 8th pick in the draft, 19th pick, 26th pick, 27th pick. I missed one of them. And the added 25th pick that you just got. I think it's 6 picks in the first round. That's ridiculous. And then the Hawks, they don't have a first round pick for 2 years, which is also ridiculous. And the Celtics, though, with your best player down with a very severe injury, actually, in my opinion, with some of these moves, the relief in the cap look really good. I thought I had it saved somewhere. I'll have to look on the Brooklyn Nets and the amount of first round draft picks they have this year. So let's get right for that draft. Who's the first pick? Who are the prospects we should be watching? What's going on here tonight? So first and foremost, what you need to understand, at least from my opinion about the NBA draft, is this is a very team-specific situation here. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, in the NBA, it is not like a lot of other sports where there is a plethora of players drafted in the second round or beyond, though there is no beyond in the NBA, that turn into these unbelievable superstars. The stories for basketball, compared to the sports like football, baseball, and hockey, are fewer and far between. In basketball, you almost look at a 22nd overall pick as a second or third rounder based on the scale that the common population has from football. Okay? So while you're watching the draft tonight, okay, and some drafts a little bit deeper than others. I mean, I remember some drafts in the last few years where experts are saying, well, after pick number 4, it's a crapshoot. It's like, what? So if I draft 5th in this draft, it's not actually going to help me win NBA basketball games? How does that make any sense, right? But that's not why we are here, of course. But just to give you an idea, like, what's the excitement level? Where am I at after pick number 1? Well, in this year's draft, there should be some good excitement because there's some really good talent in this draft, and it's interesting, okay? Now, I have the top 15 per ESPN.com right here up on your screen. I like to use the ESPN one because it's the most common site for all of the people out there listening. As you see, based on their top 7 prediction, 5 of the 7 come from either Duke or Rutgers. Yeah. Shout out New Jersey. How about that? The top pick in the draft is going to be Cooper Flagg. If it isn't, Nico Harrison then really deserves to be fired as the Mavericks general manager. Imagine if in the same year you trade Luka Doncic for not enough, and then you pick Cooper Flagg first overall. And why I say that would be so terrible is because Cooper Flagg is, according to the experts and the analysts, no doubt can't miss prospect. No matter who's picking first overall here, no matter what their roster depth looks like, Cooper Flagg is that dude. Now, I don't believe in that. Do I believe in a guy should be? Yeah. But Zion Williamson, Greg Odom, Ryan Leaf, and players of their caliber have made me look at this draft thing differently. I don't know if the first overall pick is always the best pick. I also don't know if a franchise makes the right decision with that first overall pick all the time. I don't know if franchises think clearly when they have the first overall pick. However, when you have the 7th pick, for some reason, it feels like that guy hits every time. So that's the story going into tonight. Cooper Flagg is going to be a Dallas Maverick. Okay. Another headline for you would be that the Dallas Mavericks just re-signed Kyrie Irving, 3 years, $119 million. So presumably you'll get a healthy Anthony Davis to start the year. You'll have a rookie Cooper Flagg, and sometime around December, January, the latest probably February, you'll get Kyrie Irving back off the ACL tear. And some other solid young supporting cast. They just re-signed a young center for 3 years as well. So if you trust in the Nico Harrison process, okay, it took a few more steps in the last 4 or 5 days, and tonight could arguably be the most major step for the next decade of the franchise, because the next decade of the franchise was traded 5 months ago. So now you have a team that needs more talent, and you have a fan base that needs something to rally around. And the NBA somehow gifts you the first overall pick, though your odds were not even close to the first overall worthy odds. So that is and should be the first overall pick tonight for the Mavericks. After that, the game gets dicey. It's a combination of what does a team need, and does a team believe this player can be a difference maker? Because if you're in the top 5 of this draft, okay, and the top 5 of this draft is the Mavs, the Spurs, the 76ers, Charlotte, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Toronto, and Houston. Okay, that's your top 10 in this draft. If you go back to looking at what I just had on your screen, okay, to me, this is an interesting year because so much of the NBA has been dominated by international play. It's noted on the last bunch of MVPs not being born in the United States. It has been prevalent in the NBA draft each of the last few years. Well, if you look at the top 15 ranked players right now, only one of them is an international player. And I find that interesting because I don't know what that means. Okay? Does that mean the turn back of the college game, which gives NBA scouts the belief that a college kid can now come from college more equipped than the international professional for 5 years? Is it just this draft? Is it like a roller coaster where, well, for the last 5-7 years, it was dominated by international players, and now, I don't know, maybe we'll tick it back a little bit. Either way, when I see stuff like that, I'm intrigued. Especially when, like I've said, the best player in the league has been international the last, I think it's like 6 years or something crazy like that. And on top of that, so have been draft picks in the first round. But this year we have a Frenchman. Now, we'll see, because none of us really know anything. Seriously, especially about the international players. Like, unless you're a basketball scout that's legitimately with their own eyes seeing that, it's all semantics. I even feel that way about the college stuff. Sometimes I even feel that way just about draft picks in general. because so much of the draft pick lies in the franchise that they get drafted to, lies in the players that are around them, lies in the culture of the team, lies in the coaching staff that you are drafted to perform for. One of the interesting stories about one of the two Rutgers prospects, I believe it's Ace Bailey, is that his camp is a little bit more intrigued in who he gets drafted by than the amount of money or the slot he gets drafted in. And I think now I don't think you can control that. I mean, kind of you can, but it's like hard because you are the prospect and really you shouldn't have a choice. It's like you put your name in this draft. You want a chance to play in the NBA? Just be thankful that any of these teams draft you. But it's a different day and age. Saying that doesn't mean it's okay. Just because I believe that doesn't mean that what he's doing is wrong. Actually, what he's doing is absolutely correct. If he believes he's a marginal NBA player, and I don't think he believes that, but if the response back to him is, you're going to be a really good NBA player, you're going to have a really good career, a few all-stars, whatever, make some good money, like it's going to be a really good NBA career, but that's not how he's thinking. I want to be the best player in this draft. I want to be the next MJ, the next Michael. I'm trying to be the best player in this league, right? Well, a lot of that comes down to not how much money you get paid or necessarily being the first overall pick. It actually kind of comes down to what's the fit here and where do you land? Because if Steph Curry doesn't get drafted by the Golden State Warriors, is Steph Curry Steph Curry? It's possible, but is it the same shooter without the championships? Is he on the Charlotte Hornets? And though he still might be breaking shooting records, you don't care about him as much. You don't know about him as much. Who you get drafted by matters. And man, if you have the opportunity to control that, do it. Take it into your own hands. Last thing for me about the draft tonight, which I'm excited about. I am excited about. I'm not like a watch necessarily all the drafts guy. Like I flip in and out. I'll see what's going on, right? I'm just curious. You know, I like college sports. I watch college sports. Some of these names come across a lot when I'm flipping the channels during college basketball season. And at the same time, like we talked about on yesterday's show, if you missed it, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast, or head to youtube.com/12OZ Sports and hit subscribe. If you do that, you could replay the show on YouTube as well. Go to the podcast, listen to yesterday's episode, and we talked about that. We talked about all of this in yesterday's draft. Last thing, find a steal. I mean, that's important, okay? Every team, any sport, any draft, the later that thing gets and the more quality you can find, the difference it is. Like generally, when you hear about championship teams, you hear about that ninth guy on the roster. You hear about the backup, this player that stepped in when they needed to. So finding a steal, especially in the NBA draft, like I said in the open of this show, the NBA not known for depth in draft. There's only 2 rounds for that reason. There's also only 15 spots on each roster, but so after pick 5, usually maybe after pick 10, it's really the 7th, it's the 2nd through the 7th round of every NFL draft you've ever watched. That's the caliber of talent you're getting in those spots. So if you can find a steal, if you're a good enough general manager to get an 18 to 22 minute bench player off this draft or a draft, pick 33 or higher, that's elite. That is exactly what you're looking for. NBA draft tonight and tomorrow night. Check it out. We take a quick commercial break, then we're going to check out why the New York Metropolitans are performing so poorly over their last 11 games. If you haven't seen, well, you should, or you shouldn't. It's like a car wreck. It's like, I don't want to look at this, but I'm going to keep looking at this. Why? That's fandom, I guess. 1-10 in their last 11. Commercial break, come back, Andrew's thoughts on why the Metropolitans are this poor on a Wednesday, on 12 Ounce Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
It's the Room Show!
Yeah, on a
Hump Day.
and it's a great time. I'm having a blast. Hope you are as well. First 87% of the show, we talked NBA draft, which is tonight. Excited for that. Tune in. Round one. Pick one, Dallas Mavericks. Let's see if Nico Harrison is the worst general manager of all time, or at least a guy that understands what he should be doing in this moment. But that's not what we're going to be talking about right now. To finish the show, if you want to tune in or write in, or you got thoughts or whatever, the Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, The Drill, the Romanellas on YouTube. You want to check out some of the personal content. It's a great time. Good stuff. A lot of golf on that page. I was actually laughing during that 2.5 minute commercial break because I'm getting myself ready for a week down the shore next week. A little R&R with my future mother and father-in-law and my beautiful fiance. Amped about that. And then a 4th of July stint at our favorite on-location shoot, Long Beach Island, with the once-a-week co-host of this show, one Rocky Romanella. And I'm getting ready for that trip, and I'm like, I got to book some golf, man. You know, and this is how my mind works. All right. Because I love to golf. Like there's not much else I love to do more than golf. Okay. And I don't know if there's anyone else out there like that, like, even if you weren't a former athlete, but has something athletically that you just love to do, you know, for example, outside of golf, bowling, you know, being in a bowling league. Or, as the Barbie movie told us, the fastest growing sport in America, pickleball, right? For a long-standing time, our ancestors were big into tennis. Okay, I don't know if anyone else is like that. I am. I love golf. Like, if somebody came here right now and was like, hey, Andrew, here's the deal. We will give you X amount of dollars to work in golf. And I'm like, and this is good for my family? Yeah, it's great. You got to play golf, make videos, and talk golf on the air. Okay. Lock me in. Check. I'm there. Like, that would be awesome. But the playing golf, key to what I just stated there for the people. So I spent my time on our break looking up golf times. That's how dedicated I am to the game. The Mets need to be more dedicated to their offensive approach with runners in scoring position. What is wrong with the Metropolitans is the question that everybody has been asking. Last night, they lost another game, okay, to the Bravos. That was their third straight and their 10th in their last 11 games. Now, the messed up part about this entire thing is to start the month of June leading into the Tampa Bay Rays series, they had only lost 3 games of the, I think it's 13 they played leading up to that. Okay. Then they lose 3 to the Rays and it goes completely downhill. Swept by the Rays, swept by the Braves, lost 2 of 3 to the Phillies over the weekend, and right now are about to be swept by the Braves, or they have to try and salvage a game in this series. Now, good teams. Tampa Bay is like the hottest team in baseball over the last 35 games. The Phillies are who you're fighting against all year in the NL East. The Braves are arguably a lot of people's choice to have won this conference. Whoa, division. Way too much college talk. So I'm looking at it, and it's glaring that with runners in scoring position, the Metropolitans are not a very good offense. And what is wild to me is the overall statistics show the opposite. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. So on the offensive side, they have a .325 on-base percentage, good for 7th in the major leagues. They have 340 runs batted in, good for 12th in the major leagues. They have 104 home runs, good for 7th in the major leagues. And they have 124 doubles, good for 15th in the major leagues. However, their batting average is 20th. And with runners in scoring position, their batting average is .216. And furthermore, with runners in scoring position, on actual balls they hit in play, they're only hitting .235. So the numbers are there. It's like, okay, well, they're top 10 in homers, top 15 in doubles, top 10 in on-base percentage. How are they not a better offense? Well, the problem is the top 10 in homers shows you that they're a little bit all or nothing. There's not a lot of offensive production that's scoring runs. There's not a lot of singles getting you in. There's not a lot of manufacturing. And I'm not going to go old head, get off my lawn. Nobody bunts anymore. That's not the conversation. The conversation is merely about having success when there is a man on second or third. The conversation is about having success in the moments you need it the most. Because on base percentage is electric. Being 27th in the league in batting average with runners in scoring position is atrocious. And you got to find a way to mesh the two, okay? Because you have numbers that show you are a good enough offense to have that success. Now, the depth, the length of that offense, I also think is a problem too. Because you probably have a third of those homers wrapped up in Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Juan Soto, if not more. And the bottom of your lineup has been so inconsistent that if the top of your lineup isn't the best versions of themselves, which isn't physically possible, and it's clearly not going to happen with all 3 of them at the same time. Lindor, really good. Pete, has been electric at a lot of spurts this year. Overall, really good. And Juan Soto, So the bottom of your lineup, not really coming through for you. And the top of your lineup, not having the greatest years. So you put all that together, and then you combine that with their pitching staff, which on paper right now has the number 1 earned run average in Major League Baseball at 3.20. But over the last 11 games, the Mets pitching staff has given up 6.54 runs per game. 3.3 more runs per game than their earned run average on the season. Not good. And the offense that we just talked about in that same 11 games has averaged 2.85 runs per game. And if you're wondering, over the course of 80 games during the 25 season, the Mets offense has averaged 4.4 runs per game. So their offense is down nearly 2 runs a game, and their pitching staff is giving up more than 3 or more runs per game. That is a +5 swing in the runs for, runs against category. I don't care who you are. You could be the Yankees that won over 100 games. If you're going to fall into a stretch of that, it's impossible to win baseball games. It doesn't matter. And some of these games, they've been bad. But the bottom line is, your offense cannot score when runners are on base. They can't manufacture those runs. They can't simply just get the runs in. Hey, man on third base, let's go here. Man on second base, let's go here. Okay? Secondly, and the other thing about the batting average at runners in scoring position, though you might get some of those runs in per the RBI number because of sac flies or ground ball outs, that doesn't always produce winning either. As a coach who preaches, just get the run in. In the major leagues, that's not necessarily the move either, though. Like, not that you don't want to do that, but it's like, man, sometimes though, we can't just get the run in. Like, it'd be really nice if we hit the run in. And so the man on second and third turned into a man on first with 2 runs in and still no outs. Not man on third, 1 out, and then strikeout. Well, we only scored 1 run there. No, let's keep this thing going. But I'm not going to digress that deep into it. To finish, that's where you got to look. I mean, it's no further, okay? What can we do offensively to be better in these moments? And where are we at, pitching staff? And I know Senga's hurt and Montas just came back off the IL. I get all these things, but everyone deals with injury. Okay? Everybody deals with the length of this season. This is nothing new. And this team is too talented to lose 10 of 11. I'm sorry. That is, to me, a gut thing, a mental thing, a makeup thing. Though the Mets aren't gloom and doom yet, this stretch gives me the belief that they aren't good enough to win a World Series. Because I just don't believe that teams that are elite ever lose like this on a stretch like this. Just go look at any level, anytime, anywhere. The best teams, they don't have stretches where they lose 6 straight and 10 of 11. Okay? So though I'm not going to say that it's all over, because it isn't, in the same breath, how can I have faith that this team can win the World Series? Because again, history has shown me there are not many teams, not named the St. Louis Blues, or even like the Pacers from this year, that go the exact complete opposite direction. There's 82 games left, plenty of time, but they got to stop this thing first. I got to stop this show. We went way over today, like we have been doing. Whatever. I don't even know if there's a time limit here. Whatever. As long as we get the info to you, that's all that matters. The Rome Show, 12-ounce sports, here every single day, 7 a.m. We hope you tune in daily. Share this with a friend. Have a great
day.
And I will see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Andrew Romanella. Peace.
Thank you for listening.